In the following video, I'm going to show you what I mean by stealing pips and how you can steal pips from the market. Stealing pips is a feeling. It's a feeling that you have the market on the run, that you're not at the market's mercy, but you're taking advantage of the market by putting on profitable trades. Those trades are going to make you feel like you're stealing pips from the market. Just imagine that. So let's take a look at what I mean and how you can start stealing pips from the market. There's no magic pill that's going to give you the ability to steal pips from the market. It's a feeling. It's a feeling you get when you put on a trade. You've done all your analysis right. The odds are seen in your favor. And you sit back and let the market take over. So let's take a look at some illustrations of how I steal pips from the market and how you can do it as well. I do it using the Amazing Trader. That's what these lines are all about. They occur in real time, and if you trade without it, to be very frank, you're trading with one arm tied behind your back. These are charts from June the 18th, 2021, a day where the week was culminating with very strong performance for the dollar. This is a euro-dollar chart. I use bars rather than candles, but I think they illustrate better on a video, but it works just as well for candles. And you can see these two lines here we call our directional indicator. This is the low for the move at 1:1847. We get a third line, often see acceleration to the upside, and you saw what happened over here. So if you put a long on with a stop below the low over here, sit back, let the market take over. And that is all explained in the strategy guide. It's a classic Amazing Trader ladder pattern. But what happens if you don't want to trade from the long side? The market's in a bear market. You don't want to trade from the long side. So what do? When you see this formation forming, you sit back and be patient and let it play out. When it plays out, you treat it as a correction, as I'm going to show you in a second, and you can trade in from the short side. So you don't have to trade this. You can just use this information to set up a trade where you can steal pips from the market. But the key here is that you knew where your stop was. As long as that stop stayed intact, you could just sit back and relax and watch the market play out. And if it plays out as you anticipated, it's going to feel like you're stealing pips from the market. So either whether you're long and playing that, as I just showed you, or you're looking to go short and steal pips from the market on the downside with the trend, here's what you would do. Market rallied from 1:1847 to 1:1882. That's 35 pips, not a bad move. And what happened here? Look what the Amazing Trader is showing you. That's how flexible this program is. It shows you we have a double top. And what followed was almost an hour trying to test the upside, but you couldn't get through this level. So if you were looking to steal pips from the market using the Amazing Trader, and everything I show you is explained in the AT strategy guide, you had a level you could trade against, where you could put a very tight stop, sit back, and leave the onus on those trying to correct the market to take out this level. Because you know if it fails, we've already failed twice, showing there's no real stops to run. If no stops to run, the market's not going to be able to run the upside. You could sit back and wait. And as long as it's not taken out, you're in a stealing pips mode. Because you know the market's going to eventually have to back off, which it did towards the close, another 25 pips towards the close. So anyway, that is another example of stealing pips. And why is it stealing pips? Because you were able to identify a stop, a level that uses a stop, and if that stop held, the market would have to go the other way. So let's take another look at another example. And this one involves sterling dollar. You can always tell a professional trader from the old days who's going to call it sterling dollar or cable versus the new breed, which call it pound dollar, which kind of wrinkles the back of my neck, but that's what retail traders seem to call it. But I prefer sterling dollar. And you can see how we corrected up. Again, we're in dollar uptrends, and look where it stopped. Stopped dead on at an Amazing Trader line. Coincidence? Not for me, but I'll show you in a second. And then we have these blue lines coming down. That is an AT ladder. Direction of what I call an episode, which is a down episode. it feels like stealing pips. You know, as long as this level is not taken out, the risk is now going to shift the other way. I explain it in the strategy guide, but think about it in terms of stealing pips. If you're on this move here, as long as none of these blue lines are taken out, the trend's intact, the momentum intact, and you're in a stealing pips mode. You're relaxed. There's no stress. But let me show you one more thing. And here we are, the same chart, sterling dollar. This is the same line I showed you where it hit dead on. But why is this important? You see this level right over here? Has an added significance. It's all explained in the ladder strategies. The last blue line before we made a low is very important. So when we failed at that low and there were no stops taken out, we now look to the downside. And when we form a ladder, as we have in here, we have a stealing pips scenario. As long as this line stays intact, the risk is pointed down. You know where your stop is, and that's the key to stealing pips, knowing where you have a stop that shouldn't trade if your idea is correct. Not how much you're going to lose, and not one that doesn't meet your risk profile. But in these cases, we're using fairly tight stops, very tight, as a matter of fact, and we're putting on a very good risk reward. But once this level stays intact, you're going to have the feeling of stealing pips. To be frank, in all my years of trading, I've rarely, if ever, felt confident that I picked out the ideal entry level when I put on a position. However, since I developed the Amazing Trader and started using it for my trading, my confidence level that I picked out a stop that should hold, if I've done my analysis right or followed the logic of this program, as I explained in the AT strategy guide, then I can sit back, let the market do the work, and if the trade works out as planned, it's going to make me feel like I'm stealing pips from the market. So if you want to get that feeling of stealing pips, just scroll down below this video and sign up for our program.